Welcome to our news and thank you for joining us. I'm Natalia Hall. The immigration minister is blasting the former administration for parts of the Commercial Enterprises Act, which he says he will not be following. Bertha McDermott has more.
As Minister of Labour and Immigration, I will not be following this particular thing. There will be due diligence under this administration in respect to all of the applications.
Immigration Minister Keith Bell making it clear today that he does not intend to abide by parts of the Commercial Enterprises Act, saying the act is unrealistic.
I know, having sat as in the chair of now as the Minister of Immigration, that it is almost an impossibility for an application to be submitted today and within 14 days that we would have done, Immigration Department would have done its due diligence. It is impossible.
His comments come after former Immigration Minister Brent Simonet suggested a clampdown on work permits may be one method to curb the influx of migrants. The act, which was made law in 2017 while Simonet was Immigration Minister, says work permits applied for not later than 14 working days after the filing thereof and the payment of the application fee, failing which the work permit shall be deemed to have been granted to this act.
If the application is not approved, that it will automatically be approved. And so, to me, I think it's one of hypocrisy.
Bell says the bill will be repealed, but couldn't say when that will happen. About 15,000 work permits are approved annually, according to the Immigration Minister. Bell says realistically, it will take up to 12 weeks for the Immigration Department to properly vet work permits. The Commercial Enterprises Act also calls for a Commercial Enterprises Board.
The former administration never established. So therefore, the safety mechanism in the legislature, you're quite right, was never established. But yet, the law says in 2 weeks the permit is to be approved.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bertha McDermott.
Thanks for that report, Bertha. A 50-year-old man is behind bars tonight for alleged his 22-year-old sister. The incident is believed to have happened on Saturday, October 15th. His name is being withheld to protect the victim. He remains behind bars unless bailed by the Supreme Court. His next court appearance is on December 9th. Well, some big news for San Salvador as Club Med has now reopened their doors after some 3 years. 120 passengers were brought in from Toronto by Air Canada to stay at the newly renovated resort. Tourism Minister Chester Cooper calling the resort's reopening a monumental achievement for the government, adding that the property will employ at least 300 Bahamians. Cooper also revealing that Air Carib will be bringing an additional 200 passengers Thursday from Europe, and Bahamas Air has plans to service the island with passengers from the United States. Prime Minister Philip Davis, who serves as the island MP, says while Club Med put $5 million into the resort, he was focused on upgrading public infrastructure, with the government allocating $3.5 million to upgrade health clinics, water resources, the airport, and electricity supply. Now, Club Med officials estimate that 70% of its former employees have returned to work with the reopening, and those numbers will grow as occupancy levels ticks up. The Bahamas has been shortlisted for several international awards. Well, the World Travel Awards nominating the Bahamas for the world's leading cruise destination, the world's leading wedding destination, and the world's most romantic destination. The World Travel Awards acknowledges, rewards, and celebrates excellence across all key sectors of the travel, tourism, and hospitality industries. Now, voting for the awards closes at midnight on Thursday, November 20th. You can vote for the Bahamas at www.worldtravelawards.com. There is a disturbance in the Atlantic that looks a little too close to home. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with our current conditions. Good evening, Greg.
Thanks, Natalia, and welcome everybody for a quick check on weather. On this nice Tuesday evening, we do have some spotty showers out there. Most of those are offshore. A few clouds, temperatures in the low 80s, 83 degrees right now. North-northeast winds at 8 miles per hour. and your field-like temperature at 84 degrees. On our satellite, we have that upper level low that's spinning just to the east of the Bahamas. That's triggering a couple of spotty showers that's moving on the backside of that upper level low. Some of that moisture will continue to stream across us, but the bulk of it staying towards the east and away from us. Turks and Caicos Islands, you guys seeing some showers and thunderstorms. High pressure is dominating the remainder of the Bahamas. We're looking for that high pressure to continue to dominate our weather over the next couple of days. So nice weather and some very pleasant temperatures expected. That's a quick look at weather. Stick with us. A look at the tropics, and your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, details of the new deadline for retail grocers. The Economic Affairs Minister explains what will happen for those not in compliance. Plus, how the Small Business Development Center is creating an environment where smaller businesses can thrive. And the Deputy Prime Minister's recent trip to forge deeper partnerships with the U.S. university. That's coming up when Our News Alive at 7:30 returns. Another extension for retail grocers, this time to November 1st. That's according to Economic Affairs Minister Michael Halkitis. The association was supposed to present recommendations to the government, but according to Minister Halkitis, that has not happened as yet.
We have agreed. The retailers did ask for an extension to the 28th, which is this Friday, in order to get to us some suggestions on how we can, achieve what we're trying to achieve, i.e. bringing down prices and minimize the impact on them. We're waiting to receive that. As of now, I haven't received it as yet. And so what we indicated was that, Friday is the 28th. What we will do is we'll give until November 1st, and beginning November 1st, we'll expect that the new margins will be in effect in the retail pharmacies as well as the retail stores.
In his national address, the Prime Minister added 38 new items to the price control list. Halkitis stressed the move was in an effort to ease the burden on Bahamians. The minister was asked about penalties for stores not in compliance.
You have an opportunity to have people comply, and failure to comply, then there are the monetary penalties. But the idea is that, we're not coming down with a heavy hand, so to speak, a sledgehammer, but we just want to ensure that the regulations are being met. And we think that this time, it will be approximately 2 weeks since the amendments were made that we will be doing the enforcement, and we think that's adequate time to make the adjustment.
Micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises will be highlighted in the coming weeks, as November has been declared National MSME Month. Interim Executive Director at Access Accelerator Small Business Development Center, Samantha Roll, explains.
Throughout November, there will be a series of events and activities dedicated to highlighting the accomplishments of Bahamian business owners. Additionally, the SPDC will host one event in Family Islands with SPDC representation, namely Abaco, Andros, Eleuthera, Grand Bahama, and Long Island, followed by an honorary celebration in New Providence on November 30th, which will culminate at the close of the National MSME Month.
Minister of Economic Affairs Michael Halkitis noting that micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises are the lifeblood of any economy, which is why he says his ministry is promoting an environment in which MSMEs can thrive and become large businesses.
The government of the Bahamas is committed to support the various organizations and entities whose mission it is to promote and support MSMEs. This includes the Small Business Development Center, the Bahamas Development Bank, the Venture Capital Fund, BAIC, BAMC, and indeed the central government of the Bahamas through its procurement practices. Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprise Month will provide an opportunity for all stakeholders to take stock of the current environment for MSMEs and discuss and formulate new strategies to support and promote those businesses.
When our news comes back from the break, do you think there's a gender balance in the country? The local chapter of a sorority gets the conversation started.
Plus, coming up in sports tonight, Buddy Hield and Indiana Pacers coming up just a bit short against the 76ers. We'll tell you how Buddy did. We'll also bring you up to speed on the latest in high school baseball and softball. That's all just ahead in sports.
Plus, the National Art Gallery of the Bahamas partners with a luxury resort. We'll tell you how. We have all of the details when our news returns. This is our news live at 7:30. Welcome back. The ladies of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated will host a gender balance in politics discussion on Thursday. The panel will feature former Attorney General Allison Maynard Gibson, State Minister for the Public Service Pia Glover Roll, Free National Movement Senator Michaela Barnett Ellis, and former F&M Senator Jennifer Isaac Dotson. Speaking for the Delta undergrads about the event was Social Action co-chair Noel Seymour.
I think it's very important for young women like me to see that it is possible to see women in leadership. Because a lot of times we look at the current state of politics and we're like, okay, maybe I should look at something else. However, I feel like this is a much needed conversation, a timely conversation, especially for the opportunity for young women in UB to come. I feel like it'll be very impactful for us.
Seymour also explained why it's important for older members in the sorority to partner with the undergrads on the University of the Bahamas campus to organize events such as this one.
I feel like it's important for different trains of thoughts, different aspects, and more wisdom from the older chapter as well as my perspective from a younger student in UB. I feel like that's very important to see where they are, what they've already been through or their experience, along with my perspective in general.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper visiting St. Augustine's University, the alma mater of former Deputy Prime Minister Cynthia Mother Pratt last week. Cooper says he's looking forward to a continued relationship between the Bahamas and the university, including visits and student exchange with the University of the Bahamas.
There will be some exchange programs. They will be coming to the Bahamas, and we will ensure that they meet with the Honorable Minister for Education. There's great opportunity to work along with the University of the Bahamas and create these types of partnerships that's going to continue to strengthen the education system in the Bahamas. They have a great entrepreneurship program. Again, we are going to ensure that that they work along with the University of the Bahamas to really develop further what they're doing. They can learn from some things that we are doing.
You have just under a week left to apply for one of the most prestigious Chevening scholarships offered to Bahamians each year. Our Marlena Leonard sat down with a previous recipient to hear about her experience. Let's hear her story.
Bahamians having access to fully funded scholarships to some of the world's top universities, a set living allowance, and some free flights are just some of the benefits of being a Chevening Scholar, according to British High Commissioner to the Bahamas, Tom Hartley.
And it's a stipend, all paid for, and it's for anyone who wants to go and do a year in the UK. There's no limit on age, there's no limit on subject, there's no limit on situation. The only thing that we test for is we're looking for people who will come back and commit themselves to public service of some sort for 2 years.
And you don't have to take it from him. We also got to speak to Bahamian Chevening Scholarship recipient Sasha Dixon.
It gave someone like me who had already started out in my career an opportunity to go back and get additional experience and training that could contribute to my professional growth.
Dixon says that level of financial help made a huge difference for her experience compared to her undergraduate years.
The fact that you don't have that additional burden on you of thinking about working while studying or trying to make sure that you have the funds that you need to pay your fees is really helpful, because it gives you the opportunity to then just focus on what you're there for.
She explained the hardest part of applying was trying to balance her application process amid her job's workload.
I think I started a little bit late in the process, quite honestly, and I wasn't sure, how it would go. But I thought that the opportunities far outweigh the effort that it takes to put into the application. And so I would say 100% apply.
There is no upper age limit, and the deadline to apply is November 1st. You can find out more at chevening.org/scholarships. Reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Thanks, Marlena. Now, Grand Bahama native Buddy Hield putting up good numbers on NBA Monday night. Meanwhile, high school softball and basketball returns to action at the Blue Hills Fields. Here's Marcellus Hall.
All right, thanks, Natalia. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. To say it's been a tumultuous start for the season for Buddy Hield would be a bit of an understatement. He's had trade rumors swirling around him since the offseason and now into the beginning of the first week of the NBA league. Now it stands like this. It seems as if he's going to have to fight through this. Last night, he and the Indiana Pacers going up against the 76ers. He did pretty well. Let's find out if it added up to a win.
And let's just say they got it. 120-106 ends up being the final score on Wednesday when they take on the Chicago Bulls. Other news coming in from the local scene, this time from high school baseball and softball. GSSA action continuing. And here's a look at how the scores went down for the day. Junior girls, first of all, softball, C.H. Reeves, they beat A.F. Adley 24-0. S.C. McPherson, meanwhile, stopping D.W. Davis 12-9. Junior boys, it was A.F. Adley 3-0 over C.H. Reeves, and S.C. McPherson, they beat D.W. Davis 4-1. On the senior girls side of things, softball action there once again. C.C. Sweeting beating Anatole Rogers 15-0. And in senior boys baseball play, C.R. Walker 13-0 over GHS. C.C. Sweeting, they topped Anatole Rogers 5-2.
And that is your check on sports for you here on this Tuesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Italia.
Still ahead on Our News Live, Bahamas and the National Art Gallery unveil a new partnership. The details straight ahead, but first, mostly sunny skies ahead, but for how long? Your extended weather forecast is coming up when Our News returns.
This is killing me, that's for sure. So let me out, let me out.
Welcome back to Our News. What's the status of that disturbance in the Atlantic? Well, Greg is back in the Weather Center with your extended weather forecast. Greg?
Thanks again, Natalia, and welcome back, everybody. We are still tracking the tropics right now, a couple of systems that we're watching out there. First one is up near Bermuda. That is weakening as we speak. It's going to be moving into some cooler waters, tracking towards the northwest, and it should be posing no problems to anybody right now. Of course, to the east of the Bahamas, an area that we were watching yesterday, the National Hurricane Center giving that also a low chance for formation. That system will continue to track towards the north and away from us, and of course, in the Caribbean, we have that broad area of showers and thunderstorms, a trailing trough across the Caribbean, Central Caribbean area. National Hurricane Center is anticipating development of a low-pressure system by the end of the week. This system will track towards the west and continue to push out towards the Central America area. Should pose no problem for us. High pressure is in charge of our weather. That will continue to dominate our weather at least for the next several days. There's a frontal boundary across the southeastern United States. We expect that to get in here, well, to the north of us actually, and stall across central Florida. So we could see a couple of showers, isolated thunderstorms across extreme northern Bahamas by tomorrow and into Thursday, then things start to clear up as high pressure builds in behind that. Once again, that system in the Caribbean will track towards the west. That one has the potential for formation as it moves into the Western Caribbean, so we'll continue to watch that. The tropics remaining quiet, and we don't expect any tropical cyclone formation over the next 7 days. Northwest Bahamas and Central Bahamas boating tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will back out of the northwest to north at 10 to 15 knots. The sea is running 2 to 4 feet. That's all due to that frontal boundary approaching us. High tide will be at 8:30 tonight for the southeast Bahamas. Your winds will be light and variable tonight through tomorrow. Your seas will be running less than 3 feet. Beautiful weather out there expected for boaters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast, no real change in our weather. That high pressure system will dominate us for the next several days. As I mentioned, a front should approach us by tomorrow and into Thursday, but it should stall to the north of us. Comfortable temperatures during the daytime, pleasant conditions at nighttime, so get out and enjoy. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe night.
Thanks so much, Greg. ECHO, the expressive collaborations and creative house of opportunities, is the second gallery to be open at Bahamas. The gallery is an extension of their existing gallery, The Current, but ECHO is the first of its kind when it comes to its partnership with the National Art Gallery of the Bahamas. Bahamas President Graham Davis tells us what the new 13,000 square foot gallery means to the resort.
I think it reaffirms our commitment to our 3 pillars of our foundation, which is culture, community, and conservation. And this reaffirms our commitment to ensuring that the cultural experiences are alive for our local community and for our guests. That instead of just a roll of the dice or a drink on the beach, the guests, our guests, have an opportunity to come and experience a local sense of place, a cultural experience that they can take home that's really priceless.
Executive Director of Arts and Culture of Bahamas, John Cox, says the successful collaboration in satellite exhibition space with the National Art Gallery of the Bahamas is the pride of ECHO, as it's the first time the NAGB has ever showcased outside of its current location.
The thing that made me most excited is when we got the National Art Gallery to want to partner with us. So that was very important because, you know, in 20 years, the National Gallery has not had a footprint outside of Villa Doyle, which is downtown on West and West Hill Street. So it's significant to do that. I think it's a moment where you see their programming expanding and needing to be, you know, bigger. So the church is not the building necessarily. It's, you know, it's the congregation. So up here, it's great. I mean, and we have the Culinary Arts Festival coming up in a couple of days, and we kind of see this space as a significant part of how that festival would grow.
All right, sounds great. And to learn more about that collaboration between Bahamas and the National Art Gallery, you can visit ournews.bs. You can also share that and all of today's top stories from the Our News Facebook page. With that, we thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.